Alright, I really just left for like a second. Hopefully you didn't leave town and swear never to watch the follow-ups. Little crack in there I'm trying to do something with. This is kind of funky. I need to knock that down and come back the other way. Just kind of bevel it down. I'm lowering that platform there to about halfway between the center line and the face. I got thickness right in here. Thickness right in there. There's a little step. I want to just cut straight through there. See how it cut off the step and just feathered it? See, this is step, so I can't really hit very good into there because especially with Cortex, it'll fail. And that's a square edge. That's not really good. So what I'm actually going to do is, this isn't too bad in the location. I'm just going to hit up into there. See what happens. Support it underneath. Stick it in my leg. Can you see where it is? Just kind of undercut all of that, and it came down here. See, I don't really want to do much with working this square edge off from here because that's kind of like my length. So in an effort to be conservative, I'd like to reduce that coming in from the sides to keep as much length as possible. But I do have that crack, and it looks like the crack kind of goes about halfway down, and it goes in not too far, so may not be an issue. So the crack kind of failed a little bit, but now it's gone. That's all that's left of the crack. And that kind of ran and went over to here and sort of smoothed out into that, so that's good. And I did reduce my square edge a little bit, so that's good. So now if I can get me a little platform right here, the reason I just flipped it is I'm trying to get it the right angle, but I'm also trying to get it at the right elevation. Got a little thickness right in here, and I was adjusting that to try and hit it into here. It's a little bit dangerous, but what the heck. Sometimes when it's dangerous, you need to hit it a little harder. Can you see what I did there? And it hinged out right before it got to that other hinge, so I've got this in the middle, but that's no big deal. I got tons of width, so I have all day basically to deal with that. I was really just kind of trying to get this where my tip end kind of is a little better. I think I'll show you. I think I've told you this before, but don't like hitting on Cortex. But anyway, so that's really right at my center line. This is like a hump here. So most of the time people would hit that and it would just go to about there. I mean, it would just be a bevel flake and go up here and die or whatever. But what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and support it with my finger under here and see if I can just make it wrap over into this area and feather out and get rid of that little hump. But you got to support it good because I'm hitting above the center line and I'm hitting kind of downward. So you can see I actually did hit above the center line, and I'm not advocating that. I'm not telling you to be like me or nothing, but I'm showing you it's possible because my finger caused it to wrap and go low, and see how it kind of feathered into here? And it kind of went over there, and it kind of took out that ripple that I told you about that was between the two hinges. So it actually came to like right there. So anyway, part of that was, again, that I use a relatively heavy billet, but 90% of why that did what I wanted it to do was the support. What do I want to do now? I'm boring myself already. I really can't think and talk at the same time, so other than the fact that I know what I wanted to pass on to others and I know how to do this stuff, I'm like the worst person possible to be putting it out there. So you just have to suffer through the delivery and try and take away the message. Hopefully. Or not. I'm not trying to make a bunch of mini-me's out there. I'm switching down a little bit because I got some tight areas. I was supporting that and hitting along that way, not inward there, but along that way. And it came, you know, just kind of still trying to reduce that square edge a little bit. This is a high area there. I'm just going to go through. And this failed right in there because that was already chewed up by something. I don't think I did that. It just failed underneath there. It was just battered from something. Some of this rock that's pretty, I mean, this isn't a super hard rock. Did you see that? I just stepped that with a weak little hit because I'm talking instead of thinking. But it actually broke out of there. It's no big deal. It's like feathered. But what I was going to say was, sometimes this rock that's tough but not too tough, see if you can see how I'm supporting that. Finger on this end, fingers underneath, and I just put the side of my little finger underneath the platform and hit in like that. So it ran straight in and feathered. So, you know, I wasn't worried at all about instamp. I'll do the same thing here. It's a little below the center line, got a little high spot there. And a lot of people would try and hit that downward, which is risking in snap, and it wouldn't do any good because it'd still have that high spot. I'm going to try and hit inward on it, like that, and eliminate the high spot, you know, just cut underneath it and straight in. Cortexy, but probably abraded enough to just sort of flattening. Flattening. But you can mess around with this kind of stuff and you just take too long and then getting the cortex off. And you start trying to take too many flat chances and everything and get a big old wide thing going where you're stepping it out in the middle and everything when you didn't need to. Sometimes it's better to go ahead and lose some width and just get on in there to the meat you're trying to attack. Now I'm talking about attacking meat. I don't know what I'm doing here. Okay, support along the back edge, stick it in this leg, support out under there. And I was trying to run it along that ridge. That was actually past a concavity, but I just hit it a little faster to make sure that it kept on going and didn't look over left or right and detour. Sometimes your flakes are like me. I mean, they get distracted and they'll be cruising along and they'll see something like a nice little concavity and they'll be like, oh, that looks like a good place to hang out. And they want to head that way. Well, sometimes if you hit them hard enough and support them right, they don't realize that they should have gone over there until they're already past it pretty much and just go, heck, I'll check it out next time. Well, there is no next time. That was that flake's life. And I feel a little guilty about it. I mean, when I do that kind of stuff to the flakes, but it's a dog-eat-dog world. That was embarrassing. I just, you know, can't talk and flake at the same time. That was embarrassing too. But that's classic killing a, well, I guess I didn't kill it. This is a square edge, and it's real steep. And so you really, if you want to do that right, you know, you'd flip it over and you'd get it not quite that steep, because you definitely tend to get the wrong angle inward too much and risk it stepping out. But I don't worry about that stuff as much as I should probably. Hit on the corner of that square edge there. Hit. It's on the base right there where you're going to end snap that thing. Support all along it. Just support all along it. It can't vibrate. Ow. Dang it. You made me cut myself. Okay, but you do have to hit the corner. You don't really want to hit above the corner much. Time to rebraid. I'm doing this wrong. Caught it a little bit. Caught it a little bit more. Caught it a little bit more. See? It's kind of going away. But it's low now, so might as well go over here and catch a little bit that direction. Because I mean, this is where I don't want to mess up this end, because that's like my fluting end. Oops, did I say fluting end? It would be nice if this was a couple of minutes further on this tape, because then I feel better about turning it off and gluing myself back together. See, I'm hitting above the center line on a square edge. And you're like, well, didn't I watch him do that on another tape and knock the edge off? Yeah, he did. That was then, this is now. I've learned. That was bad. Not going to do that. I'm going to see, I'm tilting this down a little bit. So you say, well, you're hitting above the center line. Well, yes and no. But see, that's just beveling that. But I have extra width, so I don't need to worry about doing something like that that is so much taken width away, because I have plenty of width, so I just don't care. Well, now I'm up to 13 minutes, and I messed you around and made you wait like 22 minutes on the last one. So in theory, see, I lowered that too much really, so now I come back and flip it. And I'm trying to beef up the edge there with all that crap. Now it looks like it's almost quit bleeding. So maybe I don't need a glue break after all. That little step was already partially there, and I hit back into it again. So now that I've done that, I'm just going to go over there and hit this way and take it out. See, it was right there, and I just undercut it and took it out. Well, for the most part. But it's still a little bit of thickness here, so it's not a problem. I'll get it. So that lowered that and did a little bit of thinning good. Yes, I'm fixing to turn it off and start up. Okay, so I'll just come in on here. Tame there. Tame to there. Flattening, lowering. Tame to there. Flattening and lowering. So can you see those like 3 or 4 hits, bam, 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 all past the center line? That's kind of what you want to do when you're getting down to the crunch and want to thin. All right, that's 15 minutes, so I'll be right back.